Travis Wayne Goodsell. Okay. It's that time of the month for my computer. I am so far behind today. Not only did I not get to the intended videos, as I did the one this morning about what I came up with on my run, and then as I finished uploading it, I saw a comment, and he was asking more about Heber C. Kimball, and I've not been able to get back to continue my LDS history research from what I left off with the book, although I have done a couple of things that need to be added to that book, such as the Cooper Smith shop, which I did the video series for, and also the other day I figured out how Presbyterianism was figured into it, because Lucy Mack, who was supposedly the one who joined the Presbyterians back in 1820, in her journal quotes Joseph rather than talking about it herself. And that's unusual. Why can't she speak for herself? Why does she have to quote her son regarding the incident of her becoming a Presbyterian? Especially when it's an 1838 version that Joseph Smith is using. So yeah, when I found out Alvin died in 1823, 3 years after the supposed first vision, they get a Presbyterian minister at his funeral, and that's where William confirms that Alvin has been condemned to hell. Yay! Your son just died. He's going to hell. Want to join our church? And so, yeah, that's why Joseph Smith was using them in the 1838 version. And so, I had to wait this morning for the postman, because there's a package that was too big for the mailbox, and so I didn't want him leaving a slip of paper behind for me to get it tomorrow. But air conditioning units, little portable ones, hopefully they will work. I need something this summer, because if you remember my old videos and my website covering the whole scandal, this is what put me over the edge in regards to suing the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, was the abuse of the air conditioning unit, which you can hear in the background noise, along with the open windows so that you hear the bus that just went by and the cars that travel on by the road as well. And so, yeah, all hell's breaking loose today, guys. And as I was waiting for the postman, I saw my former home teachers who were terminated by Nelson in April Conference 2018, when he did away with the home teaching program. Haven't been visited by Mormons since. And it was also right after my second divorce, which was also part of the whole scandal. that's led to the air unit. But talking with them, I ran out to go talk with them. They claim they have colds. Colds, I'm sure it's just colds, considering they haven't been tested. But they were regular cruise liners now that Keith is retired, and he listens to Fox. So I razz him on a number of occasions because of his mis and disinformation that he receives from Fox News. Sister Warner, however, was once a believer, like me, but since being fired as home teachers, I've seen her change now. She actually fights rather than agrees, and so I have to be simple with them and point out the facts, because for example, I told them that Trump was responsible for the spread of coronavirus here in America, and of course I saw Keith immediately shut down. Oh, no. And so I had to point out to him, Trump was the one who sent unqualified, unprepared, unprotected people to the cruise ship, who then came home to their hometowns with the infection themselves. And so it's spread throughout the United States because of Trump. And those are the facts. And so as much as Trump didn't want that cruise ship, he still got the coronavirus spread in America. And of course, Keith was saying, well, it's not so bad here in America. As we're now up to 1,300 people with the virus and 38 dead. 38 now dead. And the thing that people don't understand, and I'm not hearing the doctors talk about it, because you can simply do a math program that can be done with that commercial, and they tell two people, and they tell two people, and say it, and so on and so on, and the whole screen fills up with all the people that those two people spread to. And so if we were to simplify it, we started with 15, remember? And those 15, we'll say, came in contact before they recognized that they had the symptoms. 10 people. We'll round it off to 10 people to make it easier for the math. It may be more, maybe less, depends on the person. Could be like me, who doesn't interact with anybody except on certain days of the week. And so we'll say the average is 10 people. And so 15 people interacting with 10 each. That's a multiplier. That's 150 people that they come in contact with and pass the virus to. Then those 10 people, or 150 people, then contact with 10 people themselves. Now we're up to 1,500. That's where we currently are now. The thing that we are not understanding as a nation is that those 1,300 so far technically, are not from the original 15. The majority of them came from others. We don't know the source for. That's the scary part, is that we have a ton more people, because what we do know is 1,300. So those 1,300 had come in contact with, we'll round it to our thing, 10 people each. That's 13,000. And those 13,000 have already come in contact with 10 people each. 130,000. And those 130,000 have already come in contact with 10 people. 1,300,000. And those 1,300,000 people have already come in contact with 10 people. You see where I'm going with this? This is why it's a pandemic. Just because we don't have testing kits and have tested everybody, that's meaningless. The problem is already worse because 38 people are now dead, which means there's a lot more people that haven't been tested, that aren't quarantined, that have already been passing it to others. That's how serious this is. This is why the church has shut down the temple, church, conference, missions. The MTC, technically, is because they understand it. Nelson was a medical doctor, a heart surgeon, technically, but he understands the medical concept. I tried looking to see if Nelson had been in contact with China before the virus. Can't find it other than in 2015. That's too early. But January he reached out to China because he speaks Chinese. I'm not sure if it's Mandarin or Cantonese or both, but he contacted them if they needed any assistance for food and emergency or first aid kits or whatever. I think he gave them kits, if I remember correctly, health kits. And so I couldn't quite find a connection there, but nevertheless, it was interesting because Sister Warner refused to accept the idea that the temples would be closed. I said, no, the church came out yesterday on the church newsroom and sent the letter. Went out through all the world that large group gatherings are canceled as of the 16th of March. So Sunday is your last day of church, Mormons. It's your last, Saturday is the 14th, last day for you to go to the Jordan River Temple, which is the highest traffic temple in the church, because they have been using that as a test pilot temple for many things, and genealogy specifically, but yeah, there's no way they're going to have the temples open when they're trying to be responsible socially and saying that large group gatherings are not allowed. Because in Utah, the temples are open 24, well, they're open every day, working day, and Saturdays, except for Mondays. They have it so that one temple is open per month on Mondays, and so you have to figure out which one it is and which next one is, and so on, if you are a regular temple goer. But the majority of the temple goers on a regular daily basis are the elderly, those who are 60 years of age and older. Those are the most vulnerable to coronavirus, and they're the ones that frequent the temple on a regular basis in large groups. You know, you can say large group has to be 20,000 and the temple doesn't get that high. It doesn't matter. Like I said, the church understands this, as Nelson is a medical doctor. The temples are ripe for infecting the elderly. And it's already here. The majority of us already have it. And we're gonna get it if we don't have it, because of the way it spreads. And so, no, they have to shut down the temples as well. Now, outside of Utah, maybe they only open those if Mormons put in a request to have a special session for an elder or a marriage or whatever, or a stake wants to do a session for their stake. But here in Utah, it's a different story altogether. And so, yes, the temples have to be closed, But the church didn't say it. They just said all large group gatherings are canceled. And that was not including, that was including the conference, because that was a separate letter. They did 3 separate letters. One for general conference saying, nobody come, we're not going to allow anybody in. And then the other was for the MTCs. Closing down the MTC, missionaries are going to be trained online. And again, Europe. Are they going to put them on planes? Apparently not, because they don't want them to gather in large groups. Planes are a nesting pot for large groups of people traveling to Europe. So I can't see the church ignoring what Trump said last night without giving an update today. They're in their meeting right now, coming out and saying we're canceling all flights to missions in Europe. We're waiting until this thing passes, and we're bringing home our missionaries currently serving in Europe before Friday, because that's the deadline Trump gave. Otherwise, the missionaries are going to be stuck there permanently, because we don't know how long this is going to last. We don't know it's going to quit during the summertime. This is brand new, and so the Warners got an eye opener, as I, who listen to all sorts of news channels to confirm what's being done, and have found Fox to be lacking in information, as Fox is their primary source for news. And so, this is bad, Mormons. And if you're listening to Fox and you're still thinking that this is a hoax, as the Warners were coughing and joking about not having it, just unbelievable. I made sure to be upwind, but who knows? I can defy the Air Force away from me, but who knows? I'm under 60. I should be fine. My DNA says I'll be fine, but who knows? But we're all doomed. I can't put it any more simply. And so the information about the church, I called it. I called it. And you guys aren't going to those videos. You went to the one I called it on, which was the morning of the call. But long ago, on March 1st, that Sunday, I said I did the video, Mormons enjoy their final Sunday. It's the church closes afterward. It was a little early, but I was joking in that first one, because I was trying to point out I won my case. It's over. The church has to concede, because they don't want my evidence that I'm putting at the beginning of all my videos now to get out to the public, and thus I'm releasing it to the public so that everybody will know. And so sure enough, as I was also telling you about Moses and his story being a symbolism of the latter days, because that's who the Jews are looking for. They're looking for a man like Moses. They're not looking for some supernatural being to come out of space. And so Mormons need to understand that, because Joseph Smith understood the Jewish concept and was promoting that. And as I now have that historical background along with the Jewish understanding of their second coming Messiah, as I go back to Joseph's writings, I now go, oh wow, okay, so when he was saying, thus saith son Ammon, he wasn't talking about Jesus in the Christian sense. He was talking about it in the Jewish Messiah sense, or Egyptian Messiah sense. And I knew that, but you have to get that realization to actually go, oh, of course, why didn't I catch that? Because in the Egyptian, as I've been telling you, Osiris is the one who died for us and had the temple pattern for us to follow his example of death, resurrection, and ascension into heaven, where his kingdom is in heaven. And his son is the one who restores his kingdom on earth. And that's the Messiah that the Jews are looking for, is that Horus Messiah, not Osiris Messiah, which is what the Christians are claiming is the one they're waiting for. They're waiting for Osiris to come back to earth and restore his kingdom. And that's not the story. That's the wrong story. It doesn't exist in the Egyptian documents and scriptures. And so, the other video that I talked about was Heber C. Kimball, with the comment that I got from somebody. And I need to do that video for you, because I did a preliminary research to answer his question, because he wanted more information about Heber C. Kimball, and I found it. And it will shock you, as it did me, and I've done the research about the Smiths. And I knew of Brigham Young, his older brothers being in the Scottish Rites, and so with Heber C. Kimball being buds with the family, I assumed he was with the Scottish Rites, and yes, I confirm that now. But there's more. And so when Heber C. Kimball takes Hiram's wife and Joseph Fielding Smith under his care, that's all the more disturbing, even more disturbing than when I found out that Heber C. Kimball was with Brigham Young, who ordered the assassination of Joseph and Hiram. And so, yeah, I'll get to that, and I'll explain what it is that I discovered, and how it all breaks down and crumbles. As Mormons who put this information online for us to look at, they are clueless themselves, or they are purposely clueless. Not knowing, because they didn't bother to do the checking on the matter. So I look forward to that. I still have to get caught up on last night's news. And I still have to watch several shows from last night. I got a couple of them. The key one, of course, was Picard. Saw Picard already. So we're good there. The Borg are back. Sort of. You have to watch it yourself. So yeah, CBS's All Access is worth it. As much as it's saddened that we no longer get free TV anymore. Can't believe the con they pulled on us. But yeah, big day ahead, and I'm way behind. And oh yeah, you did notice that the stock market again crashed today at 7%, as they had to shut it off and restart it again. I have to see where we're at. I saw it over 2,000 before I turned it off to do this video. So you know, people are not happy about the travel cancellation, or they're using that as the excuse. So we're just 2,000 points away from taking away all of Trump's stock market gains. when he took office, because it was 19,880 something when he started. I did a copy and paste from the internet source that showed where it was, and that he had reached 24,000 on November 18th, maybe somewhere around in November of 2018. And so yeah, the whole system is collapsing on us, as Steve Bannon wanted. This was all Steve Bannon's plan, to destroy the world, and nobody even bothers to figure it out unless they're all in on it. Are all of you in on it? Am I the only one that's out of the loop and has now figured it all out myself? So, but yeah, I did the video today of how it all began. So, alrighty, let's try to get caught up.